The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Mother Russia Bleeds is an indie game that was published through Devolver Digital where it belongs and developed by the Cartel Studios. The same people that brought us this weird game called Heave Ho where these balls with arms swing can make creepy facial expressions. But as I said, this game is published through Devolver Digital where this game fits, and for that reason, let me explain.
Hello, I'm Suda51. 今日何喋るんだっけ？デボルバー？デボルバーデジタル？知らない。聞いてないよ、その話。何それ？全然知らねえんだけど。いやもうこっち今忙しいからもう仕事しなきゃいけないからさ。
Attention! Due to miscommunication and translation, Devolver Digital and Suda51 will not be working on a Devolver Earliest Access project together.
For the people that don't know, Devolver Digital has a somewhat reputation of having and publishing indie titles known for their artistic expressions that I describe as being unorthodox, unforgettable visual masterpieces, games that makes the player feel comfortable in their assumptions just to pull the rug off from under you and continuously hit you with various levels of death that before you know it will leave you questioning if you're playing the same game you just booted up. In other words, pick this game up, it's kinda awesome. And of course, you have your what the fuck games. But notably, Devolver Digital is known for having games with over-the-top violence, commonly presented in pixelated forms such as Hotline Miami, Going Into the Gungeon, that one game about helping this purple bunny becoming a president through questionable means. In which, if you think about the year 2020, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. Just don't give the president a gun in the pilot. Hashtag Make America Great Again. What else we got? We got Leaving the Gungeon because you know you gotta leave after you enter. This game where you play as a samurai called, Katana Zero. And this game where you play as a mutated water spaghetti that eats people and grows. I'm sure that the people who work over there at Devolver Digital knows who they are and bask in it. They don't take themselves seriously, we're only asked to how admirable their establishment is. There are two examples that plead my case, the first being their expos. Their expos are creative and embodies the tone of what their catalog of games represents. Underneath the comedic and sarcastic banter is a sense of commentary that if you're a gamer and know some of the tendencies of the gaming community, you can understand and laugh at it.
We have ramped up this year's Jiminy Thinger to include everything that you might expect from a production of this magnitude. This year, we have overly flashy graphics to distract you from mundane dialogue. Guest appearances from personalities that you can recognize and project some misplaced familiarity onto because you have seen them in videos on the internet, and whose appearance will serve to light up a predictable nostalgia response. And it is 2018, and that is how marketing is done now. We also have this little guy faking like he's playing a new game on the screen, despite it clearly being a pre-scripted sequence, meticulously planned out and pre-recorded months in advance.
At the time I'm doing this review, they released their interactive expo, was kinda like a horror-style first-person shooter game, where you have to explore this huge building that looks like it was shut down, with you being the player being locked in. In this game, you explore different rooms that holds booths containing the mini games and props, and even trailers for upcoming games being developed, and when it's dropping. You have to do all of this while avoiding these robots that constantly scan the building for intruders. Now, delivering this expo within this format is kind of an awesome idea if you think about it. I just wish they had it available for Mac as well, and not just Windows. Maybe I should join the PC Master race, but moving on. My second example is this.
Our team of geniuses made a thing. A sweet thing that combines the frankly massive shadiness of companies like G2A with the bottom-barrel scumsuck practices of creatively bankrupt mobile conglomerates to create our own proprietary game store that gives us a space free of legal recourse from the developers that ridiculously trusted us with their intellectual property. Introducing Devolver Bootleg.
Whoa, wait, what?
The world's first official gray market game launcher that exclusively rips off our own games.
Holy fuck!
Savvy, forward-thinking consumers like yourself should find their way to DevolverBootleg.com, which wholly unironically forwards to a Steam page for Devolver Bootleg. From there, potential users will have the opportunity to pay a small fee to download the Devolver Bootleg launcher. Once the download is complete, users like you can select from a wide variety of off-brand versions of our most popular titles. Feel the delight wash over you as you and your real gamer friends enjoy titles like Enter the Gun Dungeon, Hotline Milwaukee, Shooty Boots, Ape Out Jr., Loot Trouser 6, and many more right from the Devolver Bootleg launcher.
That reel always gets me hot and bothers.
For real? Like, people can give us money for this?
Yep.
I'll be damned. I like your style, Stoltz.
If only you knew what we do.
I mean, come on. Who else makes fun of themselves in a creative way by releasing the great value versions of their popular titles? Personally, I don't care for side-scrolling beat-em-up games that fit the mode of Streets of Rage, but after looking at this pre-alpha footage and those awesome trailers, I decided to give this game a go. This game was released on September the 5th of 2016 and will later see port to other platforms later on. I will be reviewing the PlayStation 4 version, so let's get into it. Mother Russia takes place during the Soviet Union regime. In this game, people of this land really didn't see eye to eye with the authorities, so judging from their behavior started a rebellion, with civil unrest and rumors of a revolution floating around. In the midst of all of this were 4 misfits who earned their money by participating in underground fighting rings, orchestrated by a man named Mikhail. So on a seemingly ordinary day, the 4 misfits gets captured in their place of, well, quote-unquote business. After being captured by governmental authorities, they're held captive while scientists do some questionable experiments on them. This is done for quite some time until they wake up, break out, and find out the laboratory where they were considered simple lab rats was up under a government prison. From here on out, they discover the type of dark dealings that is going on throughout the underground smuggling of this drug named Necro. This drug pretty much gets people addicted to it at the cost of their health, mental state, and along with the side effects of causing some strange hallucinations. So, the Misfits set out to find who was all involved with these dark dealings to bring down the operation by, of course, beating the life out of everyone that crosses their path until they inevitably get answers. Mother Russia Bleeds looks violent in every sense of the word. Through a somewhat pixel art, the depiction of what is going on with not just the character you play as, but within the backgrounds themselves thoroughly gets the message across that everything is going straight to hell. The animations was beautifully done in delivering some of the most brutal ways of offing people imaginable, just to solidify the disdain for living, let alone the respect for life. But again, the devil's within the details. For example, when beating somebody's face in, you can clearly see the characters becoming a little bit more, well, fucked up. For lack of a better term. And when a person gets shot amongst other fatalities, you can count on seeing some gore. Wait, needless to say, this is something that kids shouldn't be seeing, especially kids from another game who should be off saving the world back in the United States from people who are trying to rule over the land of the living, and also the land of the dead. Why they are over here in Russia is beyond me, but with them sticking around, they will unfortunately get to see how others have been sent to the other side first-handed, and be scarred for life. Strangely enough, these characters were not the only ones that seemed out of place. There was also this warrior chilling out that came from this pixelated Dark Souls game that I saw a good while back. So far, the game went kinda quiet, but considering everything that's going on in the world, I wouldn't be surprised if things interfere with the development. Here's a little fun fact, both cameos are Devolver Digital titles that was featured within 2015's Devolver Digital Expo. But anyway, back to the review. The environments in different stages are crafted to a perfection. It's fully engrossing and sets the violent tone. Everything is just so messed up in this game. Other than the player, the character models you see all are disturbing. You see people strung out on narcotics or scumbags that are morally the lowest form of humanity. There are some other things that you see in this game, but you just gotta pick it up and play it for yourself to see it. Shoutouts to Alexandra Muntini, who is responsible for such glorious imagery, and it's safe to say that he did his job and he did it well. If you can't tell, Mother Russia Bleeds is a side-scroller beat-em-up. In it, the player can choose from 1 of 4 characters. Each of them has their strengths and weaknesses. In typical fashion, you have the one person whose stats is all well-rounded, a person who is weak in strength but is agile, a powerhouse, and lastly a character that just, well, unique. Funny thing to note that when you look at the stats of each character, all of them are essentially opposites of one another. Sergei and Boris are complete opposite, as are Natasha and Ivan. Once the player gets started, they learn that there are different techniques and movesets that every character can do in order to stay alive. You have your simple punches and kicks, and as for your punches, you can punch a person while on the ground to be more efficient in destroying your opponent, or you can hold the same button to do a nice charge attack. You can also grab an opponent, and from there you can either beat the living crap out of them, or you can choose to throw them in any direction you please. Every character has an evasive maneuver where they can dash out of a sticky situation, and of course jumping. Using a jumping and dash technique in combination with your kicks, grabs, or even punches can result to some nice useful moves. This urges the player to experiment a little. Actually, using the same button for grabbing, you can also pick up weapons that just so happens to find their way near you. Everything from bats, wine bottles, knives, and my personal favorite, the available assortment of guns. Each weapon handles differently of course, but has a nice way of killing your opponents. You can beat the brains out of somebody with a blunt object, or you can take a gun and blast somebody's head clean off their shoulders. Throughout your playthrough, you're going to have 2 syringes on you at all times. One is the necro that can help heal your overall health, and the other one allows the player to enter this berserk mode. More than likely, you're going to run out of necro if you keep using it on yourself or on your companions. But also, your character will suffer from some bad symptoms of withdrawal. However, in order to get more, you have to beat up some people, of course. And when you see their bodies shaking and convulsing on the ground, quickly make your way to them and you can drain their life force, so to speak. Sticking a needle into them while they shake will actually refill your syringe. Also, for whatever reason, if you see one of your companions that's down and out, you can actually sacrifice a little bit of your life and inject it into them, just so they can carry on just for a little while longer at least. As far as the other syringe that enters you into berserk mode, well, I don't think I gotta explain what berserk mode is, but if you don't know what it is, essentially you just go nuts. When you enter this state, all your attacks are amplified and hit harder. Your player becomes more faster and has the ability to perform fatalities. Pretty much finishers that can one-shot kill enemies. However, this state only lasts for a short while, so make good use of it. There are multiple types of syringes to choose from after unlocking them by completing a certain amount of waves in the arena. Each of them has their own benefits when used, and actually, back in the main menu, the player can pick from which level they want to revisit after they beat them. Whether through story mode where the player can redo a section, or through arena mode where you can fight to your heart's content, or until you die as multiple waves of enemies come at you. Mother Russia Bleeds also has lots of trophies you can get too by fulfilling certain requirements, and also has a leaderboard. You can play this game with others in my opinion, which is preferred than playing with this game's AI. Playing with others would at least provide some sense of competency in regards to certain situations that may come up. I believe the AI slowly learns what to do in the midst of situations, but needs some time to understand, which is why I would urge the player to turn friendly fire off. You'll thank me later. For example, I entered this room after dying a couple of times due to this boss battle, so to better prepare myself, I broke this container that had guns in it. I picked mine up and I was kinda wishing that my partner would do the same too, but unfortunately the AI didn't want to, which resulted in... So after getting blasted, he rushed back to get a gun before I even could after learning that it's bad to enter a gunfight with just faith. I learned that healing members is top priority over self-preservation in terms of the AI. In theory, this is good, however, in order to heal others, they first must be alive in order to do so, which is a concept that AI doesn't know. But then again, in situations where I'm the last one standing, healing my other members can sometimes prove to be a fruitless endeavor, seeing that they can sometimes just voluntarily rush back to their deaths, either from environmental hazards or just from the enemies taking advantage of their mindless state. This was the only thing that I had to be aware of. Other than that, the gameplay was pretty awesome. The music was done by Vincent Cassar, who goes by the alias Fitzions. From the sound of the music that I hear throughout this game, one could call it electronic music, but specifically dark synthwave. This is the type of music that perfectly matches the sinister and bleak imagery. This OST and 2 other versions were released later on, so after they dropped Mother Russia Bleeds' original soundtrack, they later on released Mother Russia Bleeds: The Lost Tapes, which is pretty much unreleased tracks and remixes. Then lastly, they dropped Mother Russia Bleeds Hardcore Mega Mix. Defusions has an extensive catalog of music that you can check out for yourself. I will provide the link as always down in the description below. Everything you hear from the sound of impact coming from a fist smashing into the flesh of another with force, hearing the sound of guns blazing, things exploding, bottles breaking, everything you hear has a nice quality to it. It's one thing to see what's going on, but how the sound effects were done makes hearing it adds another level to it. In this case, it makes the player feel how much damage is being done. Big ups to Camille Garadu for providing the feels in the sound design department. With everything covered, I'm going to give Mother Russia Bleeds an 8 out of 10. For a side-scroller beat-em-up, it sure does a good job in capturing the essence of violence with its creativity and detailed mechanics. And I usually don't even like side-scroller beat-em-ups. Is this game fun? Very. I recommend picking it up. This game is now available on Steam for Mac and PC, PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch for $14.99, which is pretty good for the game that you actually get. I also recommend checking out the mini documentary called Behind the Schemes. The link will be provided in the description below. Stay safe out there. Peace, y'all.